Hey everyone, it's Luke here at 3DLM Designs. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to model a simple stylized tent in Blender. We'll be using simple shapes and modifiers to get that cool cartoony look. This is episode 3 in my camping scene series. The aim of the series is to teach you how to model a stylized object related to camping in each video, while keeping the information in bite-sized chunks and making it easy to follow. We're about halfway through the series. In the final episode of the series, I'll show you how to create a stylized camping scene using all the objects we've covered in this series. So far, we've created a stylized tree and a campfire. Now we're moving on to a tent, as we can't really call our scene a camping scene without a tent. Before we start, if you're new here and haven't seen the previous episodes in the series, I recommend you go back and watch them first. I'll add a link at the top of this video. As always, if you find this tutorial helpful, please take a minute to like, subscribe and click the notification bell so you can keep updated with new content coming your way. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, as always, we're going to start with deleting the default cube, light and camera by clicking on them, pressing X and then clicking delete. Press Shift A, Mesh and Cube. Press S, then X to scale the cube along the X axis. Press Tab to enter edit mode, pressing 3 to activate face selection and click the top face of the cube. Press S and then Y to reduce the width of the face and create a near triangular shape. Now I'll just tab out of edit mode, press G and then Z to move the object up slightly. Okay, that's looking good, but the front and back faces aren't looking quite right for a tent. So let's tab back into edit mode, press 2 for edge selection, and now we want to turn on mirroring along the X-axis. So go up to the butterfly icon here, select X-axis, and then select the bottom front edge of the tent. Pressing G and then X to move the bottom of the tent out to widen the base. Okay, this is starting to look more like a tent. Next up is the entrance to the tent. We want to create a split entrance on the front. To do this, we'll use a new tool in edit mode, the Loop Cut tool. This can cut the mesh all the way around an object. So first, we'll click in the center of the front face to cut the object mesh in half. And now we want to split both new sections once more, but this time, click and drag the loop cut closer to the center to make the entrance tabs bigger. Left click to confirm. Now let's move to face selection by clicking up here, or pressing 3. Then we want to switch off the X-axis mirroring before continuing. Okay, now in edit mode, select the two faces for the entrance tabs. We want to make them separate to the main body of the tent. So with them selected, press Shift D, X, and then drag them away from the main body and left click to confirm. Press P and click selection. This has now separated these faces from the main body. So tab out of edit mode, select the new object, and tab back into edit mode once more. Using the Loop Cut tool again, let's create some cuts in the mesh to allow us to manipulate the shape better. Tab back out of edit mode and open the modifier tab by clicking on the spanner icon on the right. Click Add Modifier, Generate, and click the Solidify modifier. Change the thickness to something suitable for a tent. And then let's add a Bevel Modifier to get started on the stylized look. Scroll down and change the segments and the amount of bevel to your liking. I think that should be good. Now let's position these by pressing G, then X, and dragging them to the front face. We want a little bit of overlap, but not too much. Tab back into edit mode, select vertex selection up the top or by pressing 1, making sure you have the selection tool active. We now want to make these tabs look more like they're frayed out and sitting naturally. Select a bottom vertex and move it out using G and X. Continue doing this for each vertex to make it look like the tabs are blowing in the wind. Like that. Maybe I'll just tweak it a little bit more, just to exaggerate it. And then repeat on the other side. Okay, looking good. Tab out of edit mode. We want to remove the lines that are visible on these tabs. To do this, right click on the tabs and select Shade Smooth. Next, let's give the main body of the tent some nice rounded edges using another bevel modifier. We'll go with 3 segments and an amount of 0.02, maybe 0.03. I'm just going to reposition the tabs to make sure the overlap is enough using G and X. Now tab into edit mode. We need to fix the gap at the top here. So select the vertex, press G and then Y, and drag it over to the center of the tent body. Do the same for the other side. Select the main tent body, tab into edit mode, enable face select, and click the whole of the front face, remembering to select the faces behind the tabs. We will do the same as before to duplicate the face and make it a separate body by pressing Shift D, X, drag it out, press P and then click selection. Tab out of edit mode, select the new body, and then we'll add another solidify modifier from the generate drop down menu. Change the thickness to about 0.04 and that should be good. Move the object between the tabs and the main body using G and X again. Now let's scale it with S to make it fit. I went too far back, so I'll just move it forward again with G and X. That looks good. We do just need to move the top edge of the object to make sure we don't see it. So tab into edit mode with it selected, enable edge selection. We can't see all the edges as they're covered, but you can click the icon up here which is toggle X-ray, a very handy tool for situations like this. Select all the edges and press G and Z to move it up. I'm just going to move the bottom edges up so they don't overhang as much. Okay, toggle off X-ray. Next, I think we'll add in the wooden pegs to hold the tent up. So press Shift A, Mesh, Cylinder. Let's move it into a rough position. We want one in each corner. So we'll put it about here. Then tab into edit mode, enable face selection, and then click the top face and scale it to be slightly bigger than the bottom face. I'll make it a bit longer by moving the face with G and Z. Tab out of edit mode and add a bevel modifier. Adjust it to something like this. I'll go for 6 segments. I think it needs to be slightly smaller. And then right click and select Shade Smooth. Now let's put one of these in each corner. To do this, we can use another modifier called the Mirror Modifier. So under Generate, select the Mirror Modifier. Scroll down and make sure that X and Y axis are selected in the modifier settings. And then we'll need to state which object the peg should be mirrored around. So click on the pipette down here and click on the main body of the tent. And there you go, we now have 4 pegs. Next, let's add the string to connect the tent to the pegs. Press Shift A, Mesh, Single Vert, Add Single Vert. Now be aware that adding a vert automatically puts you in edit mode. So in order to move the vert, tab out of edit mode and then press G to move the vert where you'd like it. Move it up so it's closer to the top of the peg. And now we're ready to make the string. Tab into edit mode and select the vert. Press E to extrude another vert from the existing one and move it closer to the tent's top point. And click to confirm. Continue doing this until you reach the top of the tent. I'd recommend at least 3 extra verts to give yourself more flexibility when tweaking them. Let's just get these looking like a hanging string, using G to move each vert. Okay, I'm happy with that. Tab out of edit mode and add a mirror modifier to the verts. You have the option to do the same as we did for the pegs and select the X and Y axis, but I'd like to add a bit of variety to the strings, so I'm only going to select the Y axis and then I'll click the pipette and click on the main body. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same on the other side, but it'll be slightly different to the other strings due to me doing it manually again. So I'll just quickly do that. And there we are, we have strings. However, we need to add some thickness. To do this, we'll use the Skin Modifier. So click on Add Modifier, Generate, Skin Modifier. This is way too thick. So tab into edit mode, press A to select all, and then Ctrl A, and drag to reduce the thickness. We want a good thickness that fits with the exaggerated stylized look. Do the same with the other side. If you did the strings all in one mirror, you'll only have to do this once. I'll just adjust these ones again quickly. And then add a bevel modifier to round off the edges of the string. Okay, I'm fairly happy with this, but I think the string just needs a little more tweaking to remove the harsh bends. So select the string, tab into edit mode, turn on X-ray so we can see the vertices, and then move them up to reduce the bends. Then I'll do the same on the other end of the tent. Now we're going to add a little bit of texture to the tent and make it look like it's sagging slightly. So select the main body, tab into edit mode, and we're going to use the loop cut tool again to cut the mesh up. Click on the body to break up the mesh into a grid. Like this. Make sure you have the selector tool enabled and select a vertex to move in slightly using G and Y. Repeat this somewhat randomly all over the tent, remembering to do the other side as well. Okay, now tab out of edit mode, right click on the main body and select Shade Smooth. And that's it for the modelling. Now to move on to adding colour. Select the main body of the tent and change to the Viewport Shading tab up at the top of the viewport. Open the Materials tab by clicking on the round icon on the right. Click on New and open the base colour box to see the colour wheel. I'm going to make my tent a nice red. I think that looks good. We'll add the same colour to the front tabs by clicking on them and selecting the drop down next to New and selecting the existing colour we've just created. Next up is the internal front of the tent. Select it, press Add, and then we still want it to be red, but we need it to be darker than the rest of the tent, just to show the shadow. So use the slider on the right to make the colour darker. I'm just going to quickly move this down a little. Then we can colour the pegs a nice brown, using the slider to get the right shade. Lastly, we need to colour the string. Usually these are bright to make them easy to see, so I'll make them a nice bright yellow. And just like that, we've modelled a stylized tent in Blender. As always, I'd love to see your version of our stylized tent from today's tutorial. Please feel free to post an image in our Reddit community. You can find the link in the description below. Thank you for following through this tutorial with me. Please remember to like and subscribe if you found this tutorial helpful. I'll see you in the next one. This is Luke at 3D Designs. Stay stylized.